This is obviously a huge case, and joining us now to dig a little deeper is Michael Wilds. He's a former U.S. prosecutor who served in New York. Welcome, Michael. I want to ask you about the numbers we're hearing associated with the case. They're staggering. How many more underground banks, you think, are out there? Could there be more?
It's an extraordinary and provocative prosecution. I served at the U.S. Attorney's Office in the late 80s, and as we've gone digital, we now see, while we're saving trees, how provocative criminals can be. We've seen with prosecutions with Wachovia Bank, with HSBC, even casinos in Las Vegas and the Vatican itself that was not watching the kind of wire information that it was providing, that we now are facing new age criminals. This is an extraordinary prosecution, and I tip my hat to the federal prosecutors who brought it.
Well, that being said, with much of this operation operating in the cyber world, so to speak, how difficult will this case be to prosecute?
Very difficult, but it's so important. As we face new frontiers, we need to create an awareness. You know, the individuals that are affected by this are almost collateral to the crimes that have been perpetrated. For the government to put this together with the flick of a button or a keyboard, people are able to move large chunks of money. The government here literally needs to make sure that it's not outgunned and that they have the resources, both federal legislators and also international law enforcement. They have to work with each other. This was a selective effort to stay away from European and Asian law enforcement and to hide in obscure countries and then pillaging smaller individuals who innocently may have fallen into the lair. But again, this was a use of a criminal, and it was unbelievable amount of transactions that occurred. This is the new age, and we need new sleeves rolled up at the FBI and all the other counterparts the world over.
Michael, 55 million transactions. We're hearing $6 billion. What happens to all of the money involved in this case, and of course, all of those depositors?
Interesting issue. Typically or historically, there would be a forfeiture proceeding where the government would be able to secure and take the monies from illicit crime activity and then set up a base of funds that they could refund those that were harmed by this. The question ultimately is, when you give money someplace, it becomes virtual money as if it was an international game of Monopoly. How do you track and prove this? This is an extraordinary time that we're living in, and we have to make sure, that is, law enforcement has to make sure that they're one step ahead other people who are going to use these beautiful endeavors and inventions for insidious activity.
All right, Michael Wilds joining us live from New York. Thank you so much for your insight.
Pleasure.